This is everything you need to know to create a really good elevator pitch or an elevator speech. And remember, this is not the same thing as answering the interview question, tell me about yourself, or walk me through your resume. The difference is the context. So here, whenever you talk about giving an elevator pitch, it's usually to a total stranger who has no idea who you are, doesn't have your resume, or even looked at your LinkedIn. So you can think about this as situations when you're at networking events, or career fairs, or you literally run into somebody in an elevator and they ask you what you do. And remember, because you're talking to a total stranger and introducing yourself for the first time, they don't have your LinkedIn or your resume, so it's actually okay to repeat stuff that's already on there. But just make sure you aren't coming across as arrogant. Okay, now before you start to write out and script and practice your elevator pitch, there's a few key things that you need to keep in mind. First, your elevator pitch should be short, like somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds. Second, make sure you're talking and using natural language, and you're not using a whole bunch of jargon, because it's going to be easier to memorize and it's just going to come across as more natural and less formal. Third, your elevator pitch needs to have one element in it that's really memorable. So try to throw in something funny, or something that would evoke some type of emotion from them, or something that's just out of the ordinary that's easy to remember about you. Okay, so with those three things in mind, here are the basic parts of an elevator pitch that you need to include. Your elevator pitch should have some background information about you as a person. And of course, you need to talk about your job or what you do for work, and it should also have something really impressive that you've done at your job, so they're going to want to keep talking to you and ask you questions. And remember, you don't need to give a bunch of details right away, because it's going to make your elevator pitch way too long, and it's going to encourage them to ask you follow-up questions and to continue having a conversation. You should kind of think of it like you're putting together a movie trailer of your life and your job. And as a quick example, here's my elevator pitch. Hi there, I'm Corey. Nice to meet you. So I actually grew up in Hawaii, but fun fact, I don't really like hiking or going to the beach, so I actually prefer living here in the Bay Area. And I was pretty fortunate. I was able to get a job right out of school, and I still kept my job during all these tech layoffs. And I actually started my career in management consulting, which is pretty rare for someone from my school, Santa Clara, because typically these firms only hire from Ivy League schools. So I did management consulting for a few years, but it wasn't really my thing, and so I ended up switching careers a few years ago, and now I do tech recruiting at a MAN company. I've been a recruiter now for 6 years, and I primarily focus on manager, director, and principal level roles. And right now I'm focusing mostly on hardware, like CPU design and AI ML accelerators, basically all the hardware that powers everything that's AI and hot right now. And I even convinced Google to open up a brand new office in Poughkeepsie, New York. So as you can see from my example here, my elevator pitch has all the different elements that we talked about. It was short, concise, and succinct. I talked a little bit about myself. I tried to make a few different jokes in there. I even talked about my role, my scope of work, what I focus on, and I tried to include one or two memorable and pretty impressive things. But you'll notice I didn't really give a lot of details on all the different things that I said that I did and where I came from and my different jobs. I didn't even talk about the first company that I had worked at. And I did that on purpose because I want to give these talking points or these open areas where the person that I'm networking with is going to be curious and want to ask me more questions. That way I get to stick around, build rapport, and have a deeper conversation. All right, so now you know how to create your elevator pitch and a quick short example of what it should look like. Why don't you put down in the comments what other things you need help with when it comes to networking or finding a new job. And I'll do my best to create content customized just for you. And I promise I read every single one of my comments. Thank you all for watching, and don't be afraid to shake things up now that you have a new elevator pitch.